Gao Tu had never felt a danger like this before. Not in all the years he had struggled silently to hide his true self. He had always been cautious, meticulous, careful. But the pregnancy had changed everything. It was supposed to be a private, fragile miracle, a symbol of love and hope, yet it had turned into a constant battle for survival. His body, weakened by years of suppressants, was rebelling against him. And each day brought new, terrifying complications that threatened not only the life growing inside him but his own. The pregnancy, already dangerous, had become life-threatening. And for the first time, Gao Tu realized that no preparation, no planning, and no strength of will could fully protect him from what was coming. He woke one morning to a sharp, unbearable pain that radiated across his abdomen, leaving him gasping and clutching the floor for support. Every movement, even the smallest, felt like it could snap him in half. The suppressants, which had long masked his omega traits, could not shield him from the raw physical reality now coursing through his body. Each heartbeat, once a quiet rhythm, now pounded like a drum of warning, urgent and relentless. He tried to breathe steadily, but the pain was overwhelming, almost paralyzing. He knew immediately that something was terribly wrong. Gao Tu's mind raced. He had read about the dangers, heard the warnings, but reading was never the same as experiencing it. The dizziness came next, blinding him, making the world tilt and sway as if the very walls of his apartment were collapsing. He pressed himself against the floor, sweat soaking his hair, body trembling, every nerve screaming in alarm. "Stay calm. Just stay calm," he whispered to himself. But the words were thin and fragile against the storm inside him. He could feel the life of the child, delicate and vulnerable, moving with a rhythm he could barely sustain. And yet, the fear gnawed at him. What if he couldn't survive this? What if the child didn't survive? The silence of his apartment, once a protective cocoon, now felt suffocating. He was utterly alone, with no one to help, no one to call, no one who could know. Every small sound, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the floorboards felt amplified, threatening to shatter him. He considered calling the doctor but stopped. What could he say without exposing himself completely? What if Wenlang found out? The thought of Wenlang's reaction both comforted and terrified him. He loved him silently, devotedly, desperately, but the danger now was immediate, urgent, and real. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time had lost its meaning. Each wave of pain left him gasping, trembling, and sweating, each more intense than the last. His vision blurred as exhaustion and fear took hold. He curled around his abdomen, whispering desperately to the child growing inside him. "Hold on. Please hold on. I need you to stay strong. I need to survive. For you." Each word was fragile, a thread connecting him to the tiny life that depended entirely on him. And yet, the fear was relentless. He felt the raw edge of mortality brush against him, terrifyingly close, and for the first time, he realized just how fragile life could be, how dependent on unseen, delicate forces. Gao Tu's thoughts inevitably turned to Wenlang. The man he loved had no idea what was happening, no idea of the danger, no idea of the terror and the physical agony Gao Tu endured daily. He had disappeared, hidden, alone, trying to protect both himself and the child, yet his heart ached for Wenlang. Each contraction, each wave of dizziness, was a reminder that he had to survive, not just for the child, but for the man he loved silently. He imagined Wenlang's face, the curve of his lips, the warmth of his presence, and it gave him the tiniest spark of strength. But the spark was fleeting, buried beneath fear and the unrelenting pain that made each breath a battle. The complications worsened. A sudden, violent cramp left him collapsed on the floor, vision darkening, the world spinning. He gasped, clinging to the edge of consciousness. His body was betraying him, and the reality was undeniable. This was no ordinary pregnancy. Without an alpha, without proper medical supervision, without a mate to stabilize his body, the risk had grown exponentially. Every decision he had made to hide, to endure, to continue alone, now pressed on him like a crushing weight. He had chosen the path of secrecy and solitude, but at this moment, he realized the cost might be higher than he could bear. Panic surged. He tried to reach for his phone but collapsed halfway, hands trembling, body weak. The fear that he would lose control, that the pregnancy could take his life, that the child could be lost, twisted in his chest like a knife. He pressed his forehead to the floor, whispering frantically, almost incoherently, to the unborn child. "Stay with me. I need you, please. I can't fail you. I won't fail you." Tears streamed down his face as pain and desperation collided. Each sob shook his body. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown. He was facing the edge, the terrifying precipice between survival and death, and every instinct screamed that he needed help. That he couldn't do this alone. Time became meaningless. Gao Tu's consciousness flickered, dimming in waves. Each time he tried to move, to shift, to reach for help, another spasm of pain gripped him, leaving him nearly unconscious. Fear gnawed relentlessly. He remembered the doctor's warnings, the high-risk pregnancy, the weakened body, the danger of complications without proper care. He had ignored them before, thinking he could endure, thinking he could survive, thinking the child's life was worth every sacrifice. But now, on the brink, reality hit with cruel clarity. The sacrifice might be total. He could die. Through the haze, a memory pierced him. Wenlang's determined eyes, the way he had searched, the desperate energy that Wenlang would surely pour into finding him. Gao Tu clung to that thought like a lifeline. If Wenlang knew, if he could reach him, maybe there was a chance. The thought was both a comfort and a torment. He had hidden. He had kept the secret, and now every second alone increased the danger exponentially. The realization that he had no safety net, no one who could intervene immediately, amplified the terror. And yet, amidst the panic, he felt the sharpest, purest clarity. He had to survive, no matter what. The physical pain continued, each wave more intense than the last. Gao Tu's body shuddered violently, tears streaking his cheeks, sweat soaking his hair and clothes. He felt utterly powerless, and yet, the child inside him stirred faintly, as if reminding him that life still clung stubbornly, insistently. He whispered, voice raw, "You're strong. You're brave. We will survive. Together." Each word was a promise, each breath a fragile tether to hope, but the danger was real, immediate, and all-consuming. Exhaustion and fear began to merge. His vision blurred further, his body shaking uncontrollably, every muscle screaming in protest. He could feel the delicate thread of life, the child, the future dangling on the edge, dependent entirely on his ability to hold on. Each heartbeat, each shallow breath, felt like a miracle. And yet the fear was relentless, gnawing at him from the inside, whispering dark possibilities, threatening to engulf him entirely. In moments of fleeting clarity, Gao Tu thought of Wenlang again, imagining him discovering the truth, imagining the shock, imagining the rage and heartbreak that might follow. He felt guilt, sharp and bitter, twisting in his chest. He had disappeared, hidden, tried to protect Wenlang, and yet now he was the one in mortal danger. He realized the magnitude of his mistake. Survival alone, without connection, without support, without anyone knowing, was a gamble that could cost everything. The life he had fought to protect, the man he loved silently, the bond he had carried for so long, all were at risk. Hours passed, or perhaps only moments. Time had lost all meaning in the haze of pain and fear. Each contraction, each wave of weakness, each trembling moment brought him closer to the edge. And yet, amidst the terror, a small, stubborn part of him refused to give up. He pressed a trembling hand to his stomach, feeling the faint stirrings of life, whispering again, "Hold on. Survive. We will endure. I promise." The words were a fragile lifeline, a desperate assertion of hope, a declaration that he would not allow despair to win. Suddenly, A wave of nausea and dizziness overtook him, and he collapsed fully, nearly unconscious. The room spun around him, the shadows deepened, and every breath felt like a battle. Fear clawed at his mind, relentless and merciless. He knew the stakes. One wrong move, one fainting spell, one misstep, and both he and the child could be lost forever. Every instinct screamed for help, for rescue, for intervention. But there was no one, not yet. And in that terrifying isolation, Gao Tu discovered something raw, essential, and undeniable. The fragility of life, the urgent necessity of support, and the immense power of determination.